Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scott McKay.
All right, gentlemen, how's it going? This is your main man, Scott McKay, and what we're going to talk about today is getting all the wisdom we can from people who've lived it. All you younger guys out there, I know I'm basically Unc to you, and the lady I'm about to introduce you to is probably Auntie, but that is the opposite of Unc, I think, in street vernacular. I'm humming a few bars as I go here. But, you know, us old heads, as it were, have some wisdom for the younger people, whether you like it or not. We're not going to fade out into stuff that's really archaic. We're not going to tell you to voicemail women or anything crazy like that on this show. Stuff that just absolutely doesn't matter anymore. Call her landline first, wait 7 days after you get her number. We're not going to do that to you. We know better. We're still pretty hip around here, but there is wisdom to be gained about how to succeed with women that is only gained by either living life experience through trial and error or hearing from my guest today, and me also, I hope. Her name is Suzanne Noble, which is a very noble surname. Certainly not a common surname, literally or figuratively. And she is the host of a show called Sex Advice for Seniors. You can find her YouTube channel of the same name, and she's just a delight. I was on her show just recently, and we had a blast talking. You guys are going to love her immediately. Suzanne Noble, host of Sex Advice for Seniors, coming from London, UK. How's it going?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You know what? It's sunny here today. And as you probably know, because you've been to London, I know, Scott, every sunny day in London is a blessing. It's a blessing.
Hey, you take advantage of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Park. I don't know why I'm here talking to you, but anyway.
Yeah, what's up with that? Let's rush through this show so you can get out there. Although it's later in the evening. Well, actually, you'll be able to go out and enjoy the evening. Lots to do in London. If you're sick of London, you're sick of life,
That's so true. It's so true. So true.
Yeah. London really is a blast. You're not originally from London, hence the
No,
American
I moved to London in 1974. With my family, and my mom and dad are still up the road. And as a result of going to the American school and graduating from the American school, I ended up with this strange kind of mongrel voice, which sometimes is half English and then sort of goes all American and freaks everybody out here. But as everybody's always asking me, like, why don't you sound more English now? And I say, because men love my voice. They love it. And why should I change it? So there.
Well, American women are easy.
I'm sticking with it.
American women are seen as the sexual ones because of television.
Yeah, right. And I really didn't know that until so many men they would just stand there talking to me with their mouth open like, and then they'd probably say, what is up with your voice? And I say, you haven't heard a word I've said, have you? Just not a word I've said. And they said, no, I'm still trying to place it. Like, where's it from? So, yeah.
Yes.
But they love it. Love it.
Men are standing there with their mouth open. What are they expecting you to feed into it? I mean, it's just, wait till a man's heart is to his stomach. I mean,
Yeah.
Like,
and other
a Mars
places.
bar in there or something. Yeah. London has changed dramatically since even the first time I went. You went in 74. First time I ever went to London was 85. They still had bobbies, unarmed.
Yeah.
Nowadays, full police in, flow yellow vests. The sirens have gone American on us. They used to have the classic British siren, that kind of wig-wag siren they used to use. The red telephone booths are a thing of the past.
Pretty much gone. They're just a relic. Every once in a while, you find one on a corner with somebody kind of putting porn postcards on there and stuff. But,
How about that? Lemonade used to be like this weak, subtly lemon-flavored water. Now they just sell Sprite.
Yeah, lemonade is gone a bit weird. So lemonade is either fizzy, sort of probably what you're talking about, Sprite, or now we have like American lemonade, which is sold in Marks and Spencer's, which is kind of a little bit of a posh supermarket, which
Do
is
they
like,
call it American lemonade?
I think they call it American lemonade, which is like with the squeezed lemons. So
Sure, yeah.
they've differentiated now between the English lemonade and the American lemonade. But yeah, and of course we've got lots of kind of like American products in the
Mhm.
supermarket. I finally become completely addicted to Reese's peanut butter cups, which you couldn't get here for years. Like now they're just ubiquitous. You can get them absolutely everywhere. Obviously, like, Levi's and stuff have been around for a while, but yeah. And now we're starting to introduce really bad American kind of what's the word? Kind of manufacturing into food. So that our food here used to be actually quite pure and farmed almost in an organic way, but now we're trying to introduce like pumping lots of things into it. So to make apples bigger and all the other stuff that Americans do that we really didn't want. I don't really want that. There's some stuff that they can keep, frankly, but no, we're starting to get all of that as well. And of course we have our alignment with our politics and stuff. It doesn't seem to matter who's in office. Whatever politician is here seems to align themselves with America for some reason.
It's funny because for years and years, the British being known as a polite sort of people.
Yeah.
Parliament has always just been vicious. Savage, just yelling at each other. Resign, stand down, go away. And now that has finally come home to roost in the United States, we're still kind of shocked by it. But Parliament has always been that sort of affair in England.
Yeah.
And you have your own scandals.
Oh, yeah,
loads. When I went in 85, something called the Westmoreland Affair was all over the newspapers. We got home and nothing. We don't care. We couldn't give a rat's ass about it. It's crazy. You have your own celebrities that we've never heard of, all brilliant.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's just nuts. The only thing that's really crossed over, not even cars. I think they sold fewer Jaguars in the United States last year than any year in history since the 60s. It's probably their own undoing because of their marketing campaigns that were so weird. No American cars, well, in Europe at all, but UK, maybe the occasional Corvette, right? But the cars haven't transferred, but the music has since the British invasion.
Going back to the cars, I think General Motors has bought a lot of British car companies.
For sure, yeah.
I think what's happened is you guys have just bought up all our car companies. I think that's what's happened. I don't know if there's any actually true English car companies anymore. Because I think Mini is owned by somebody else. I think they're all
BMW, I believe.
Range Rover, I think, is owned by an American guy. They're all owned by you bought them all. You bought them all. So
not to go down the rabbit hole, but Stellantis is European, and they bought Chrysler. And after the split from Daimler, Chrysler, it's all crazy. This isn't a business podcast. Nobody cares. We all just drive cool cars and pick up hot chicks, and that's the way it works.
Yeah.
In my case, women think my pickup truck is sexy. Women think my tractor is sexy. Do they listen to country music?
I don't drive. I'm just happy if a man has a car at all, frankly.
Well, yeah. See, you're in London. You can get away with it.
Yeah.
Do British folks listen to country music?
British people listen to country music. I'll tell you what they do listen to, which is really big. It's what's called Americana, which is kind of like an amalgamation of kind of like a bit of folk, a bit of, I don't really know how to classify it. There's a bit of country in it, I believe. Right. Americana is quite big here. Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. It's big with me too. All right. Speaking of big, you have a wonderful show with lots of people that you interview. You have quite interesting takes. You're not an old stick in the mud. You have quite the sexual history. You're coming at this from a position of being well-informed, everything we're talking about today, aren't you, Mrs. Anno?
Yes. I've done my 10,000 hours.
Yes. We were talking about sex before you and I clicked record on this, and you blurted out 10,000 with a pause. And I'm thinking, okay, Wilt Chamberlain, she's banged 10,000 dudes, or, humanoids of some sort. But then you said hours, and so I'm assuming that's
I don't
market
know the
research.
numbers. I don't know the numbers.
Quit counting.
I don't count.
But you've done 10,000 hours of exactly what, Suzanne?
Of, having sex with people.
Oh.
Humans.
So there's 10,000 hours. Oh, so you have a Malcolm Gladwellian level.
Exactly.
Of true virtuoso expertise in actually doing the wall thing.
Doing the deed. That's it. Yeah. That's my expertise. Like, I've done it. I've done it all. And now I feel quite qualified to be able to share with people, like, what works, what doesn't work, what pisses me off, whatever.
Oh my goodness, no wonder you don't have a car. You could probably barely even walk after all that. Are you bow-legged after all that?
No, I've been to like 10,000 hours in a week. I mean, I'm 65 years old. It's over. I think actually if we took it out a calculator, and I lost my virginity when I was like 17. So I'm 65. So that like 48 years I've been having sex pretty much. And except when I was married, of course, because nobody has sex when they're married. So we'll just wipe out a few of those years. So
it's 200 hours a year.
Yeah. So what's that?
An hour every other day.
That's nothing. Nothing.
But consistently over time, no breaks, no hospital stays.
That's nothing.
No comatose, situation.
Yeah, and then there's times where it was like 5-6 hours. So definitely 10,000 hours for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first bit of advice you can offer to these gentlemen. How do you last 5 or 6 hours?
Take breaks. Tea breaks.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I love taking breaks. I encourage people to take breaks. Yeah. Take breaks, have a little snack, go off, have a meal, come back, carry on.
Little JOI.
Yeah.
Just
nap. You can have a little nap.
Yeah, you can snuggle up, have a little nap, then go for another round.
Exactly.
I don't know, but that counts as twice, though. That doesn't count for lasting.
It depends how long the nap is, doesn't it?
I guess it does.
I mean, if the nap is just like a brief sort of 20-minute nap, then you start again. That's just a break.
Okay, so let's go there. Let's talk about narcoleptic sex. Sex can be challenging, can't it?
That's right. That's when you just fall asleep at random moments, right?
Yes, what women would get horribly offended.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't really want to go there in light of all that stuff that's been in the press recently about, Rape Academy and stuff, because that's all kind of women sleeping and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're roofying chicks to knock them out so you can get some, that's completely different than what I'm talking about. Rest assured.
No.
But, let's face it. If you've been out on a date, you've knocked a few drinks back, and you go back to your place or hers, and you start doing the wild thing, you could fall asleep in the middle of it. You could theoretically get kind of sleepy, and women get horribly offended. They think it's, they just think they have no power to turn you on. Because I've noticed that. My bit of wisdom I'm contributing here is when we're having sex, men are usually, because, we have a mechanism we need to actually erect that involves mind over matter sometimes. Notwithstanding whiskey dick, we're usually so dead set on focusing on our own performance and, not ejaculating too soon or, not going limp or, making sure we can get it up.
Yeah.
And we're so self-absorbed in terms of performative sexuality that we automatically assume men leading, men, being the providers and the protectors, we want to be the curators of sexual experiences with women, dominant, submissive, typically, right? Of course, those roles can change.
Yeah.
But we take it very personally when the sex doesn't go well, or if the sex is going to go well or not. We're kind of gripping over that before we even start. But meanwhile, on the women's side of the ledger, if her man isn't satisfied, if she can't make him orgasm, she feels terrible guilt and feels unattractive. And I think a lot of times guys, on one hand, if they can't get aroused, the woman is often blaming herself. And
Totally.
if he blows his load immediately, she's often saying, "Yeah, I still got it. I'm pretty proud of myself." You can't do that every time for the next 10 times you go at it, or else she'll start rolling her eyes. But this whole idea of performative sex is something you really get over as you mature, isn't it?
Totally. And I think, and I think the thing is that as you get older, one of the things you realize, because people do have health problems, we got dodgy knees, we got dodgy hips. The other day, somebody was trying to bend me into a position. I was like, could I just like put my legs a little bit closer together? Because like, this is really starting to ache. And you have to be playful about it because like these things happen. So whether it doesn't stay hard all the time or whether you need to take a break or whether frankly, I had somebody that I was with for a considerable period of time and he would just be like, I'm getting really hot. I'm getting really hot. We need to stop now. I'm just really, really hot. And I'd be like, no, that's okay. Let's just like stop. He's like, could you turn on that fan? Because I have a fan next to my bed. It's like, could you? Because mainly it's for my menopausal thing. But he was just like dripping with sweat. It's like, I'm just really hot. I need to slow down. We need to slow down. Let's have that chocolate. Should we have that chocolate? And yeah, you just have to laugh. You just have to laugh. And I think it's not taking it so seriously when you're older. That's one of the main benefits. But I don't think you should take it seriously at any age, frankly, because when you look at sex is so silly, is it not? I mean, mainly it's really silly. I mean, the whole thing of it is pretty silly. When you boil it down, it's pretty silly. Aside from procreation, it's just a lot of fun. If you just
playtime for adults.
It's it's fun for adults. That's what it is. That's why it's called adult fun, because it is. And when you remove the seriousness around it and inject it with the playfulness, you can just relax. Also, I would say that the whole performative thing, it's not very attractive, frankly. I find it not very attractive. I mean, when somebody's like, "Oh, I really want to make you come," it's like, baby, that's not going to happen. I mean, I'm not like a performing monkey. Like there's stuff going on that I need to warm up. I need to be comfortable. I need to trust you. I just met you. I had a couple of drinks. Like, it's just not going to happen. So just chill out, relax, just enjoy yourself. Like, let's just have fun here. This isn't about you making me do something. It's about me being chilled enough and comfortable enough that I can get into the space where it's all going to kick off, So that's one of those things. Never works for me. Those kind of like, would you please do this for me? It's like, I don't think so.
I'd love to blame porn, but this happened long before there was ever porn. This is hardwired for men to perform. It's a contest. I'm going to win. I'm going to lose. I'm going to pass. I'm going to fail. I'm going to blow your mind. I either have to be better than every other guy you've ever had after 10,000 hours, or I lose. And I think that's wrong-headed for men. And it's kind of like when you're asking women out, men will go chat up a woman, as you'd say in the UK. And either she accepts him or rejects him. Women aren't even thinking like that. It's like, okay, here's a guy, he's talking. We're having a conversation. It's a conversation, not a competition. And women are just like, sex is supposed to be fun. When women are comfortable and relaxed, they laugh. When they laugh, they're having fun.
That's right.
And laughter should be a part of sex.
Totally,
I mean,
100%.
The best porn actually does reflect that, by the way.
Yeah.
The non-performative. Go look up, well, I'm not going to advocate this because this isn't the kind of show I run, but if you're a man who watches porn, look up porn for women and just watch it and see if it actually turns you on. You may be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It's like real women, real men doing things you would actually do,
Yeah.
And this idea of relaxing and not taking yourself so seriously is incredibly liberating sexually.
Yeah. And also it's super sexy. Like when people are just relaxed in themselves and laughing and enjoying themselves and acknowledging the silliness of all of this, it's okay. I don't want you to, no guy wants, to like remove his clothes and women go, that's so
That's a huge fear. Yeah.
like, no, we
Women
don't
are
want
afraid that he won't like her pancake boobies.
That's
And men are even more afraid that they're going to look down and point and laugh,
That's right. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to laugh at, whatever's going down there, but we are going to laugh at, at just sometimes the funny circumstances that we find ourselves in where our joints ache or we get too hot or where I had a guy run out the other day, which was hysterical. I mean, I was slightly offended if I'm really honest, but I thought it was kind of funny. He came back to my hotel room, and then after about 20 minutes, it was all fun. He goes, "I'm going to faint. I'm just so hungry." I went, "Okay." He goes, "I should have eaten before I came to see you. I should have eaten." He goes, "I'm feeling really faint. I'm really, really starving. I've got to go and I've got to get something to eat now." And I was like, "What, like right now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. I've really got to go. I've really got to eat something."
I got a question for you. Is this the same for women as it is for men? When men are having sex, as soon as we blow our load, sometimes midstream, we think, wow, am I hungry? Or wow, am I sleepy? Or I'd really like to go out and have a bike ride. Once we get that sexual urge out, once it is literally out of our system, our brain with shocking
I'm
speed and
exactly the
alacrity
same.
moves to the next thing.
I'm exactly the same. I'm so the same. And it's bad, isn't it? Because there are
It's a
actually some
dirty little
guys,
trick to get you
there
to
are some
screw and make
guys who
babies.
actually do want the cuddle. I've met them. Like they do it and then they want to do the cuddle thing. And I'm like, and if I already achieved my goal and they haven't, because they've been all, like, I'm not coming until she comes. I'm not coming. And I've come and I say to them, look, you have to know this about me. When I have an orgasm, I'm going to roll over and then I'm going to ask that we have a cup of tea or go for some food. So
So
don't,
just might as well not
or a
be
drink
selfish.
or whatever.
Blast away. Yeah.
So don't get offended. I'm not going to go all cuddly on you. I'm just going to. So if you want to go first and then I'll just finish myself off, I'm good with that because you might want to finish yourself off and I'm going to be like, no, I want a sandwich now. Like, sorry. Were you planning on having an orgasm? Because I'm really hungry.
Well, let's go back to, younger sex, which I think this is still the case.
Yeah.
You were talking about the performance and, sometimes you ache and your joints hurt or whatever. I think the younger we are, the more shame we feel towards that. For example, if you've got bad knees and you're a woman, then doing it doggy style might not work for you.
Possibly
at
not.
least in the classic sense.
Yeah.
And yet some young dumb full of cum guy is going to think, he's going to sit there trying to convince you actually have a nice ass and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. And that's not it at all. It's just she doesn't owe you every lurid detail of her physicality. I mean, one dark moment in my history, I thought my girlfriend was losing attraction for me and it was losing sexual interest because one night she just wasn't interested. And I pressed her too much. And this was a learning moment for me.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh my God, do I have to spell out for you that I've got Montezuma's revenge? I got diarrhea. Look, we're not having sex tonight. Now you have the mental image. Are you happy?" I was trying to shield you from it and shield myself from the embarrassment, but no, you pushed. There you have it. And I was like,
Okay.
relieved. I'm so relieved that you have a horrible intestinal flu because, at least you're still attracted to me. Thanks, pal,
Well,
Can
you
we go
asked.
get a sandwich? That was, I think when we're younger, we expect this fine-tuned perfection out of sex. Because if we don't, as men, well, then we've lost the performative aspect of it. We failed, right?
Yeah.
Multiple squirting orgasms or else you suck in bed. And you just implied one orgasm's fine for you.
Oh God, if I have one, I'm really happy.
Not unusual for women.
Yeah, like one is great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Where else could younger people, or anybody really, find some hidden wisdom that, would save them lots of trial and error? Go ahead, riff away.
Yeah, there's loads of things. I mean, I think though that you're right that sometimes we're ashamed of some of our bodily functions, like, an intestinal problem, and sharing with our partner, like, look, it's not that I don't fancy you. It's just that I'm not feeling so great today, right? And I just need you to know, like, you don't need to know the intimate details. You just need to know my stomach's not feeling well. Okay, that's it. And I think often, I just before this, I just did this live thing with a urologist and a guy that I've been working on a program about erectile dysfunction with. And one of the people in the program was 34-year-old talking about the fact he's had erectile dysfunction for 15 years, right? And
that's brutal.
Since
that's like going bald at 19.
Yeah. 19, right? And we were talking about like how porn can just like mess with your head, right? And it fills your brain with dopamine, and you need to get more and more stimulated to get off, and then it becomes more difficult to have sex with your partner. And these are real problems for young people now. I mean, I know this from talking to young people. Like these just become serious problems. So I know that it goes on in my age group, but typically in my age group, it's because they actually have problems, cardiovascular problems or diabetes or hormonal issues. So we've got a whole nother set of issues around like erectile dysfunction. But of course, younger men are experiencing this as well, but for, usually much different reasons. And a lot of that, I suspect, is unrealistic expectations from watching too much porn. So that whole performative thing you're talking about is just like gets escalated. Like, my dick's not 10 inches. I can't go for 4 hours. I'm completely inadequate with this perfectly average penis. I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. Getting really bad information from porn and leading to not being able to get it up at all. I think it's really tragic, frankly.
It is really tragic. All right. So bodily functions happen during sex. They never happen during porn unless you're searching for that, which is, prurient and weird. Farting happens during sex.
Yeah, of course.
And you better not lose your lunch over it. And speaking of losing your lunch, any guy who's pressuring a woman who's previously liked to have anal sex right now needs to suspend his disbelief about a certain bodily function that also happens in that hole that could theoretically be imminent and that he would literally have a head-on collision with under very, very unfortunate circumstances in that situation. And since most heterosexual people don't bring an enema with them on dates, well then, anal sex you have to have an open mind towards not having happen without getting the full explanation. And a lot of guys are thinking, well, my goodness, anal sex, the fact she's willing is the first hurdle. All I'm trying to say here is that's yet another disadvantage of having a huge penis.
It can get messy, for sure.
And what I just said is true, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always douche, but, that's just me if I think that's going to happen.
Well, it's also a disadvantage to having a larger penis that you'd like to have having watched porn.
For sure.
They're going to have anal sex with you if you're loaded like that, if you're packing.
Well, yeah.
Don't ask me how I know that.
Well, you just need to go slow. But anyway, it's not impossible. It's just,
Well, for some women, they're going to go, oh, hell no.
Yeah. I mean, I had a friend who really wanted to try it. And I was kind of telling her, how you needed to prepare and what you needed to do. And she just her head couldn't deal with it. Yeah.
Right. It seems like we've really centered this conversation on how we as men really lack wisdom when it comes to feeling like this needs to be performative. Like this is something we're showing off and showing out when really we're just supposed to be having a connection, aren't we? Even if it's
Totally.
a casual sexual relationship.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that one thing that I've learned from, I think, unlike you, I know you've done like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these podcasts, but I think I'm on like 200 now or something. But mine's
Oh, you're
very,
a
very,
newbie.
but mine's very focused on my niche, right? So I just speak to sexologists, sex therapists, urologists, like healthcare professionals every week. So, but one thing that comes across consistently across every single episode, everyone, is how important it is to be able to communicate with your partner. And it doesn't matter whether they're just somebody you met or somebody that you've known forever. Like the sooner you can be able to communicate effectively what it is you like, what it is you don't like, whether it feels good, whether it doesn't feel good, all of that kind of stuff, the better your relationship's going to be. I just created this thing that is an amalgamation of lots of other ones that I've discovered called the yes, no, maybe checklist. And it is literally a checklist of everything that you could think of that you might want to do sexually. So everything from I like kissing with tongues to giving hickeys to spanking, flogging, caning, like the whole gamut, touching people, holding hands in public, kissing in public, like everything, right? Like people have all sorts of different preferences. Some people hate physical displays of affection. Some people like physical displays of affection. Some people like a little pain. Some people don't. Some people like being submissive. Some people like being more dominant. Some people like switching, whatever. And it goes, and it's literally 4 pages of tick boxes where you go, I like to do this, giving, receiving, maybe, etc. And I sort of took there's so many of these and I put them all together. And as I was reading this, I was thinking, I really want to give this to every single person that I am intimate with, just so that I know, and they know, don't do that. Like, don't spank me. I don't want to be spanked. Like, sometimes men do that spontaneously because they
I think you'd
just
be the only one, but I do think men should indeed ask for sure.
No, but they did. I mean, I've been in so many situations where suddenly it's just like whack, and you think, no, I didn't really want that. I didn't ask for that. I know my ass is nice, but I didn't ask, so don't do that, please. And it's just a really, really great tool, not just for people that you've met, but also if you're in a relationship and it's stuck and you're like bored to tears with the regular routine sex that you've been having for years. It's such a nice way to just kind of break open that conversation where one person takes it, the other person takes it, and then you compare notes and you're like, ooh, I didn't know that you like that. I like that too. Why don't we
Is that
try that?
checklist anywhere online where these guys can find it?
I think I might give it. If you subscribe to, I just posted it in my latest Substack, but I might do it as a little freebie for your readers, maybe. I'll have to figure out, your listeners, I'll have to figure out how to do that.
Well, you know what? These guys really need to get in on Substack. I got a Substack, and frankly, it's not growing the way it should be. These guys have not discovered yet what I've got going on Substack, which is completely above and beyond and slightly more controversial. I mean, I really do speak my mind on there in a way that I don't think my newsletter list can handle.
Yeah.
And they should get on your Substack too. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hide that shiznit behind the Substack.
Yeah.
And let
that one was, it went up this week for paid subscribers. And I do think it's really good. I printed it out today and I was like, shit, Suzanne, this is a good checklist.
Heck yeah. Guys, go to Substack, man. Substack replaced blogging. If you don't want to be an old stick in the mud, if you don't want to be an unk or an auntie, Substack is where all the cool kids are who are actually acting like grown-ass adults.
Yeah.
You don't have to regress so far that you're hanging out on TikTok and Snapchat like a preteen.
No.
But, Substack is where adults who want to adult are hanging out and interacting. It's really a great platform.
Yeah, and the thing that I really love about it, even though we don't have a sexuality category yet, which is hopefully will be rectified at some point, but the thing that I really, really love about it is there's a lot of people like myself, sex educators, sex therapists, great, great people. And we've sort of formed a loose knit community. And so there's some really great stuff out there about sex and relationships that I have had those people on my show, and I just love them. They're just great people with great advice.
And I think anal sex problems in particular need to be rectified.
Rectified?
For sure. All right. So that's a dangerous thing to have said. All right. Let's go back to talking about communication in the bedroom. I think guys think it's somehow toxic or dangerous to say anything while you're having sex. If anything, you're supposed to say dirty things or whisper in her ear, which are all very erotic and very hot. But if you don't make clear what you like, if you don't let her make clear what she likes, you're never going to be sure you're doing what each other likes.
Yeah, totally.
And I stumbled upon this one day because I had a very talky girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she actually invited the conversation rather than me suggesting it. And most women will just sit there, let a man lead or not lead and burn his own ship or sail it. She'll let the guy just do his thing. She won't lead. And I mean, I'm being a little vulnerable here, but I really like it when women say and do cute things when they're having sex, like bite their lip and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, okay, because I'm usually self-conscious about that. I'm like, oh, don't. Boy, am I glad we had that conversation.
Yeah,
Great
right?
conversation. Yeah. I think a lot of men, where this goes awry, is a lot of men think that if they start getting too technical or logistical, and this is even going back to planning dates, like, hey, we're going to show up here dressed this way. I have a little surprise for you, but make sure you don't eat anything really heavy before we go. Women will be grateful for you giving them that information.
Totally.
They'll feel safer when you do. It's not like you're losing your Disney prince mystique because you're not being all the time romantic and, mysterious or something. So even when it comes to sex in the bedroom, and this, as an aside, involves the STI conversation too.
Yeah, for sure.
Women are usually glad you had it.
Completely.
It's kind of like bringing up an objection rather than trying to hide it. If you have something to hide, maybe there's a reason for it. If you bring it up, maybe you're all clear. Same thing goes for how you talk about sex. It's like,
Totally.
we're going to do this. And if we talk about it, I think men have this idea that, like, if we talk about the sex before I actually pull your pants down, you're going to second guess yourself and go, oh my God, what am I doing? And run away, which is an irrational fear I think men have of dropping the ball and not getting any when they're right next to the finish line. But women actually welcome this. They think it's great. They'll tell you everything they like and don't like once they've given their enthusiastic consent. Let's figure out how to roll with this. And the first time you have sex, this is why I can't stand one night stands, Suzanne. I've never been a fan because, my goodness, it's only going to get better. I mean, why test drive this thing? You want to be able to improve your proficiency. And, the first time you have sex together, it may be unbelievable and cataclysmic. The novelty alone may simply drive it if she's hot enough. But, you're going to get better at this after the first time. It's like anything else in life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Absolutely. And, well, that's why the yes, no, maybe checklist, you see, is so important, because you can even give it to your one night stand if you wanted to. But I agree that, the issue is that when we were younger, and I'm just speaking for myself, but when I was younger, I was never taught how to talk about sex. So my husband and I just had sex in the same way for the entirety of our marriage. And we never spoke about our fantasies. We never spoke about what we liked or didn't like. I got off. He got off. I think he was good with that. So that was good. But it wasn't, it was just very predictable kind of sex.
Very vanilla.
Yeah, very vanilla. And then after we got divorced, and I met up with some people and started dating, and then I got more into kind of like alternative lifestyles where people are very vocal about what they like and what they don't like. I was like, oh my God, people really like it when I tell them what I like. Like, I would say, I would even sometimes before I'd meet people online, they'd say, what are you into? And I just like give them a little shopping list. I'm like, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. I don't really like this at all. I'm not really that into this. And I just give them and they go, oh, good, that's good. I like those things too. And what about this? I'd be like, I don't know. I'm not like, like, do you like ice cubes on your nipples? I'm like, not really. No, I don't really like that. Or, do you like pinwheels? I'm like, not really. So, you know, but it's useful information. It's useful information. And then when you meet them, A, you've already established some boundaries, and B, you've already opened up those channels of communication so that you feel liberated to go, could you just go a little bit to the left? Just a little bit to the left. Not so hard. Oops, that's your nails. That's your nails.
Yeah, practically speaking, a lot of guys are learning about how to have sex by watching porn, and you can learn some things, but you can't learn the quote unquote deeper intricacies.
No.
And a lot of guys, they just kind of just ram in and out, when they're having sex. But if you go upwards thrusting, you'll hit a different spot. And if you go to the left or the right, you'll get around her
Or
cervix
just
in a certain
really
way.
slow and shallow.
Yeah. Well, that too, so you can hit her G spot.
Oof.
But that idea, you can hit this from a different angle is incredibly important. And you won't find that just watching porn. And I've noticed that they don't ever even talk about that in porn.
No. And I always get women asking me, how can I tell him I don't like to be pounded? How can I tell him I don't like to be pounded? Because every porn movie, it's pounding sex, right? All the time. It's like, oh, bitch, you're really going to love that. And it's like, no, 90% of women that I know do not like that. In fact, they go out of their way to avoid it. And yet, almost every man I've ever had sex with, I would say there comes a point where it's like, oh, we're into the pounding point now. Okay, it's the point of no return. And hopefully I don't have to put up with this for too much longer because it's not actually that much fun,
I think a lot of guys are taught, don't immediately start pounding. At the very least, you got to start off slow.
You'd be surprised how many guys think pounding is what women want, actually.
Yeah, from the get-go especially. Yeah, very, very bad.
Honestly.
I do think everything we've talked about today is absolutely right on the money and fantastic. And I appreciate your candor immensely. And it's so refreshing and fun. And I appreciate your vulnerability on this, and I appreciate your knowledge on it. And it is immense. I mean, you fulfilled on what you said you were going to bring to the table today, and I think it's great. Obviously, go to Suzanne's Substack.
Sexadviceforseniors.com.
Takes you there, yes. And
yes.
I've set up a URL that is mountaintoppodcast.com/noble, NOBLE, 5 letters.
There you go.
And that will take these guys to your YouTube channel where they can watch and learn some more. And I think that's just great. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I hope you'll come back because this has been a fun conversation and, an educational one as well. We love infotainment around here. It keeps everybody happy. So
I will always talk about fucking.
It is a great conversation. It's a great topic. I mean, only 1 or 2% of the population, the ace community, really doesn't want to talk about it. The rest of us are secretly itching to constantly.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway, thanks so much, Scott, for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it. The time has flown by.
Yes, it has indeed. And I really appreciate you. We will have you back. Gentlemen, talk to me on the phone about what's going on with your dating life, your sex life, perhaps. But we need to get women into your life. A lot of you guys are probably listening to this and going, well, it'd be really great if I had a woman to try out all these great tips on, but she hasn't appeared in my life yet. Hey, you're not alone, and there's no shame in that. It's harder and harder for men and women to connect now than ever before. We're the most connected people ever, and still the loneliness. It's not your fault. As a matter of fact, if you're a guy and you've got everything going on in your life except the right woman, you absolutely are probably doing everything right except getting the right woman in your life. And it's time for you to become the whole package. Give me a call. Get on my schedule at mountaintoppodcast.com. Let's talk. Won't cost you a dime. If it makes sense to put a coaching program together, well, then we'll do that. But that's your call, literally. Also, if you haven't checked out our sponsors, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, makes the coolest, manliest stuff that you could ever wear. Great. Also, vitamins is not the word I want to use. Supplements is really the best word to use when you talk about what Jocko Willink's company does, because they even have like white tea and protein powder. It's not just a bunch of vitamins you take, really the whole package. Sometimes you'll even see Jocko's stuff in your local grocery store nowadays. That's how popular it's become. I know we have it here locally. The key port, look at this. This is an amazing device. It even has a flashlight built into it. And this is not your father's Swiss Army knife, you know. If you have, look, you found, return it, multi-tools. I even have a John Wayne can opener on it. It's the coolest thing ever. And it folds up. Yeah, even Suzanne's impressed. And, you can put cool little face plates on them like this, P-40 Flying Tigers thing I got going on. Pretty badass. Anodized red aluminum with a lanyard. So cool. The guys at the Keeper, I don't talk about them at length nearly enough, but it should be part of your everyday carry, gentlemen. That's what they say. And finally, the guys at Hero Soap now have shampoo. They have cologne. Hey, smell manly without all the nasty chemicals. That's what they do for you at Hero Soap. All three of our longtime sponsors can be linked to from mountaintoppodcast.com. When you partake of anything they've got, please use the coupon code MOUNTAIN10 to get an extra 10% off. All of that and so much more there for you at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.